Good evening, good evening. How is everyone doing? Singles talk this evening. That's a waste, man. Just bear with me, guys. Right, dear. Let me turn off this music before they tell me that copyrights. Good evening, good evening. How is everyone doing? It is the 2nd of June. Oh my goodness. 6 months into the year already. I cannot believe it. So quick. Hey everyone. Just going to wait for a few people to come on. I have no idea what the topic's going to be about today. However, I do have a list of suggestions. Hey, Andrea. I do have a hey, pregnancy. Okay. As always, I like to play a little music. My baby loves me. Right, let me just done that. Okay, so... Right, so how is everyone doing today? It's been, it's midweek already, it's Wednesday. Bank holiday on Monday, the weather has been absolutely glorious. I hope you ladies have not been just hurting them man them with the batty riders and pom-pom shorts. Hey hun, just passing through for the minute. Okay, all right, that's cool, no worries. I'm only going to make this live for about an hour, hopefully, because I am so tired. I don't know if you guys can see my Tetley tea bags slightly, but it's all good. Anyway, like I said, I'm not too sure what to touch on, but I did have some suggestions, loads of suggestions from what was sent in, should I say, from other people. I had one and I thought, Andrea, you actually sent one. You said, employee retention, have you managed to keep your job through the pandemic? I don't know if you guys want to touch on that. Hey, Jeremiah. Damien from Canada said, is it okay to date someone who is married but separated? So I'm just looking, I just want you guys to just let me know what topic you think we should go for. If you can just write in a comment box and then we can get the show rolling. Monique said self-love, knowing your worth, finding new interests in challenging times, feeling comfortable in your own skin, dating outside of your race. So there's quite a few things there. So I'm not sure what you guys want to touch on with regards to what I've just mentioned. So she said we can talk about self-love, which I think we've kind of touched on already with Denise James. So maybe scrap that. Knowing your worth, same self-love, finding new interests in challenging times, feeling comfortable in your own skin, dating outside of your race. Dating outside of your race can be quite interesting. I'm not sure what you guys think about that. Let me know. And then Valerie said, should mothers be working or home with their children? I think that's just an individual thing. Georgina says, anything we've learned about ourselves over the past year, positive and negative, could be a discovered talent. Could you have discovered a talent? Sharon says, benefits of being single. Where is singles talks? I think that would be a great topic. And of course, the downsides. So that's a topic we could potentially discuss this evening. Janelle sent in mood and motivation, finding focus and staying motivated during these times. Reassessment of priorities in life, working from home, like it or loathe it. Shopping just to socialize. But I think we can scrap that because obviously the shops are now more open. Serena sent like finances, confidence, smear test, but I think with the smear test we already touched that with cervical cancer week with Dr. Alex. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out. And Nicole, she says, where has all the good men gone? Kwame sent in the perfect date. What is the perfect date? What would make someone get to second base? How has dating changed in the time due to the pandemic? How do we date in the 21st century? Is it okay for men to be sent flowers? I don't know what you guys want to discuss, but if anybody wants to request, and then we can just take it from there. I'm going to send out a few requests. Natasha says, what about how to start a conversation with another single person? What's their ideal date? Do they think their own expectations are realistic? I think that's a bit long. It's like a paragraph. I'm not going to go through that. Mr. C, the comedian, also, it's his birthday today. So big up yourself, Mr. C. Happy birthday, just in case you watched the replay. Is it important to meet the parents, family of a potential new partner? Or what do you prefer, looks or personality? What's important? And you found out that your new partner is atheist. Would you still go there? All right. So I've listed quite a few things, and I just don't want to continue to go on. So I'm just going to go for. I think that's going to be pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm gonna go for hey Sam, hey B underscore M underscore C. Right, so what I'm going to go for is dating outside of your race. So today's topic is dating outside of your race. That's going to be today's topic. I think something different. Singles talk. So I need you guys to come on. So I need somebody to, because otherwise I'm just going to pick on people. Janelle, are you dressed? I know you just finished work. Who is free to jump on this live with me? Jeremiah, stop declining. Samantha, I've just sent you a request. I know you're camera shy, but I'm still sending it to you anyways. What do you guys think about dating outside of your race? Especially, I mean, when I say dating outside of your race, you know, obviously it's just common sense, like somebody that's not from the same, like, say, ethnic minorities yourself, not from the same culture as yourself, but you could still date somebody. What do you mean you ain't got no clothes on, bro? You are funny, Jeremiah. You know you're lying. You're just trying to get some attention. Just go and put some clothes on if it's that deep, yeah? You fling on a dressing gown. I mean, you're in your house, I'm sure. You ain't got no gas, so just go and put some clothes on. Fling on a t-shirt or something. You know you love to chat already. So today's topic is dating outside of your race. What's you guys' thoughts on that? I mean, like, I personally, have I dated outside of my race? Yes, I have. I dated an Asian guy. This was a long time ago. And I don't cross-dress or whatever, Jeremiah. Anyway, I'm not going to stay on there by myself. I need somebody to come on here. Let's talk about dating outside of your race. I personally have dated outside of my race. Like I said, I've mentioned just a moment ago, I dated a guy who was Asian. This was many years ago. How was the experience for me? The experience for me was an interesting one because even though he was Asian, he was Muslim. And at the time I was a Christian. And I say at the time because I don't call myself a Christian, because I don't really want to do that whole religious, put yourself in a box kind of thing. I believe in Yeshua, I believe in the Almighty, the Creator, etc. But that's obviously not the topic for today. But Janelle says, I'm cooking, but will come on for 10 minutes. Okay, cool. That's great, babe. Thank you. So when I dated this guy, it was really quite intense, quite quickly. He was a very attractive guy, like proper, like ladies, he was buff. Like, I ain't gonna lie, star, he was buff. And that was a time when Facebook was so like popping. People were just sliding into your inbox, you know, on your Facebook and everything else. And then obviously people just posting their best pictures. Same like Instagram, same like, you know, obviously it's a social media platform, right? And when we was dating and everything else, it was nice. But one of the things that I found was, because with me, I didn't even realize I've always kind of like asked those burning questions from the beginning. So it's things like, you know, what will happen if we was to have a kid, or when we get married, am I supposed to now, you know, accept your culture, your religion? And, you know, I don't really, not saying I don't, not I have a disagreement with Muslim people, but that was just not my my belief system. So he was very much of, you know, it will be down to the child and blah, 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 blah. But to my understanding is that, especially with the Muslim community, I may be wrong, but this is my understanding at the time, is that especially for the father, the man, it will be his lead. So as a woman, you will be required to basically become Muslim. The children, they will become Muslim, etc. If there's anybody on the chat who could basically educate me if that's incorrect, please do so. But that was my understanding. So my thing was, I'm very much Christian girl. I ain't trying to change over to no Muslim, any other religion. I'm sticking to my religion. And if I have children, they're going to be Christian too. Is that going to be a problem? And he was very much, oh, it'll be down to the child. But when you've got a child, the child is not going to make that decision until later on in life. So within that time frame, if you're going to the mosque and doing your praying and everything on a Friday or whatever times you're doing a Ramadan, etc., I don't want my child doing that. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's 100% right. Thank you, Jeremiah, for that. So for me, it was very much a case of, well, how's this going to work? How's this relationship going to work? But I guess he was just more, you know, we don't have to worry about that, you know, we cross that bridge kind of thing when we get there. But my thing is, why would we wait until we get to that bridge? We're talking about this now. So it's better to just like have these conversations in the beginning rather than having a conversation about it later on. My co-host is going to join, Miss Janelle Rayburn. So, yes, so I personally, hey girl, what's good? You're right.
Hello, how are you? You're
I'm
looking
all right.
beautiful,
Your Wi-Fi's a bit dodgy.
babe. What can I say?
Oh, there we go. There we go. We can see you. We can see you, Queen. Somebody else has jumped on. Who's this? Jeremiah now found clothes, you know. Jeremiah is a jinner, you know. You now find
No,
clothes to
it's
join.
your
He's
question's
coming
made.
on.
Wasn't Jay? Are you coming on? It was. Are you dressed?
Are you dressed? Jeremiah, guys, I can see you found clothes now. Or was you looking food?
No,
What are you eating?
I didn't have any clothes on. Well, I didn't have a top on, should I say.
But dude, can I just ask you, for someone that didn't have on clothes, yeah, now you found baseball cap. I just don't understand this.
And
What?
glasses.
What glasses?
And what?
It's the
In
And
my
blue,
van.
it's the blue
glasses.
glare.
Glasses in my van too.
Sorry?
This guy.
What?
But anyway, today's
the
topic,
glare.
before we hit the topic, how you guys been? How you
I'm
both
good. I'm
been?
good. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Good. I would say good. Giving thanks. It's been an interesting past couple of weeks in terms of just what's been in the air and feelings and mood. And even though the sun is out, yeah, it's been a strange time, I think, now that we're emerging from lockdown, but it's still uncertain. Things are still, even though they're open, they're still restrictive. It's been a period of reflection. And a few friends I've spoken to have also been kind of not in the best place in the last few weeks, friends and family. So I know that collective energy is strong, and we feel the, you know, if we're in tune, we feel the vibration of others. But as I say, I give thanks, because every day is a blessing. I give thanks, and not every day is going to be, well, you know, feeling.
Exactly. And I think we have to address that. We need to be honest with ourselves. Not every day you're going to be waking up and feeling like, oh my God, it's another day. Like, yo, I'm keeping it real.com. That has not been my language for this week or for the last 2 weeks. It's been like, Lord, why am I still breathing? But anyway, I'm going to stay on topic. I'm going to stay on topic.
Well, I'm glad you're still breathing. I'm glad. Give thanks for the breath in your body.
The Lord. Hallelujah. So how are you, Jeremiah?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good. Very blessed. Unfortunately, as we know, well, not as you know, but some people in my family on my mum's side has passed. So it's just one of those things. It's just day by day. But you know that happened. We buried him last Friday, and then
buried who?
My mum's friend's husband.
Right.
So yeah, he died because of a liver problem, but he was about 95 years old, but he still lived a good life. And then my mum turned 70, not Monday, but Monday before that. So
happy birthday to mum.
Yeah.
And condolences as well to your mum's friend's husband. So the topic, dating outside of your race, that was a question from Monique Coral. And what's your guys'
you know me, guys, before we go on, you know me, right? So I picked it up. Cause I know say you now wear your glasses because you look too cute for glasses today. So it says daring outside of your race. So just in case anyone's joining, they might think
thank you. You know what? Let me unpin that. Thank you, Janelle. Could you type it in? No, actually, I'm going to try again. Dating.
But if when I go, you're not going to have it. So dating.
Is it okay? Hold on.
You had daring.
I can't actually spell. You know what? You know something? Me have my glass, right? So let me put on my glass and stop going like say me not look cute in my glasses them. Because me know say me look cute in my glasses them. So all right. So dating outside of your race. Hey, dating outside of your race, Lord God. Supposedly it came out with another. See it there? You see it there? People, me can't spell, you know.
No, that's fine. Pin it. Yeah. I see there's a comment already from Sparkly Teresa. Hi, Sparkly Teresa. You're probably a friend of Kaz's, maybe.
There's only one race, the human race. And that's so true. That is so true. But the thing is, as much as we are a part of the human race, unfortunately, there's some messed up people that's created all of this bullshit with all the race and everything. You understand what I'm saying? And due to that reason, we have a separation in terms of our color, you know, obviously we've got our gender, etc. But, you know, in terms of the race thing, we are a human race. We are, you know, like with God doesn't see color. It's us.
Yeah. I think it's, and also, Kaz, we've spoken about this. I think it's more about culture that can get fused with the notion of color, right? So it's culture. So you can meet somebody who's not necessarily the same color as you, but you can have a cultural affinity. But yes, Sparkly Teresa, is it Sparkly Teresa? You're absolutely right. There is only one race on this earth, and that's the human race. We may be ethnically different and culturally different, but you know.
Definitely, I agree with that. But going to based upon the topic today, because we're going to talk about it anyway. Sorry, no offense, anybody. You know, please, like, do not take an offense. If you do take offense, I really strongly suggest you go to somewhere else. But we're going to have this conversation. Just say
it's for entertainment purposes only. Just do that disclaimer.
We're just having a conversation. This is entertainment.
But it's not entertainment.
But it's not even entertainment. It's education. Like, we're educating each other. Like I said, I went out with an Asian guy.
Yeah. Can I just pick up on something with Jeremiah? Yeah. I see you chowing down on cucumber. What go on this, sir?
I'm hungry.
Did you like want to make a salad? But haven't eaten all day. just chop up the cucumber and say, try, you can't bother with the rest.
I haven't eaten all day. Are you offering your services?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not. I mean, if you were, I could give you some of what I cooked. I have cooked some fish in the oven and some vegetables. Very simple.
Uh-huh.
I have actually
Yeah, I
been
could
busy.
do some of that right now.
You want some?
Sorry, I had to pick up
Not the
my phone.
cucumber. I've got cucumber.
Okay.
I had cucumber earlier when I had some salad.
Okay.
But I can do with some of Janelle's fish and some vegetables. The fish that she's got in the oven and the vegetables that she's got in the oven, I can really deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand why people come and share that information and I'm not getting a plate. And then Jeremiah comes with cucumber like he's on a diet. But anyway.
But I am though.
Well, bruv, you said you're hungry. You haven't eaten all day. So which one is it? Yeah. Okay, so you haven't eaten all day. Is that by choice? Are you fasting? What is it?
Working too hard.
A bit of both.
Okay. Working so hard that you didn't have no clothes on earlier. But anyway, I digress. Let's stick to the topic.
Yep.
So have you guys actually dated outside of your race?
Ladies first. Janelle, you can go first on that one.
Hold on. I'm just saying hi. Hi, Natalie, all the way over in. There we go. Hi, all the way over in Miami or Florida if you're still there. Hi, long time, and I hope you're well. Right, so that's an interesting question because it depends what you mean by dated.
Exactly.
Have I had a romantic experience with somebody who's not the same color as me? Yes, once. In fact, let me start from the very beginning. So, it's somebody who's actually a very good friend of mine who I met a number of years ago. Doesn't live in the UK, is actually Italian. And, you know, we've always got on. When I first met him, he was in a relationship, but I've traveled back and forth to where he's from many, many times. I won't say specifically in Italy where he's from, but yeah, we've just been friends over the years. And then I would say probably about maybe 4 years ago, maybe a bit more, don't know. But anyway, went on a short break and connected with him as I do. And yeah, guess we've always had a connection, and we just had, you know, a nice experience with each other. We were both single at the time. You know, we're hanging out in each other's company, restaurant, you know, going to bars and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess one thing kind of led to another, and we spent a really nice time together, and we're still in touch now. So I wouldn't say dated because one, we don't live in the same country as each other, and two, our lives go on, but we're still very much in touch. And it was for me, it was a great experience in that it was something that was unexpected for me. Mm-hmm. Because to answer your question, I think prior to that, I'd always said I would never date outside my race. Like, not, and guys, don't get me wrong, it's not, you know, it's not to do with, I'm not racist or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that or have anything against any other race, but it's about that cultural affinity. So I want to be with somebody who I feel an affinity with, spend time with someone I feel an affinity with. So up until that point, I've always said, no, I wouldn't date anyone. I wouldn't date anyone who's not black, essentially, right?
Right.
I'd always.
Okay, that's interesting. But I'm going to get back to you in a moment, Janelle. But what about yourself, Jeremiah?
Yeah, I have. I think my first, well, not I think, my first proper girlfriend was, she was Filipino.
She was where, sorry?
She was Filipino.
Okay.
Yeah, so so it was an experience. It kind of happened. It just happened, to be honest with you. It just happened. Mm-hmm. I was in in a nightclub, and she just came and sat down and fed me grapes, and then it just led from one thing to another.
She fed you grapes?
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird one. That's how it happened.
That is very weird.
She fed you grapes.
She just fed me grapes.
Can you just give?
I'll elaborate on it. Basically, I I was at a rave back in the day, and I was just sitting down there minding my own business, just minding. You know, you just sit down and you just, you know, just minding my own business. And she just came up to me. She just sat on my lap with a bowl of grapes and just fed me grapes just out of nowhere. And I was just like more shell shocked than anything else. I was just thinking like, why is this happening? And then she was just so attached to me, and I didn't take her seriously. And then, you know, as time goes on, it just led from one thing to another. But she's probably my first proper girlfriend.
Oh, wow. Wow. Sparky, what's it? Sorry, Sparkly, I'm going to put on. Sparkly, Teresa said grapes. Like grapes, and she's laughing. Like, seriously. I mean, that's interesting. Grapes of all things. But yeah, maybe she just thought you just looked like you just needed some food or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
You know, was you quite skinny back then, them times there? Or was you like
No,
big?
you know what? Okay, I'll tell you a story. Yeah, I'll tell you a story. So
You know you love a story.
No. So basically, back in the younger years, I was very much a nerd. Yeah, and you know when you're the ugly duckling, where you're a late bloomer. So basically, when you want girls to be interested in you, they're like, nah, you're not for me. You're not hood enough. You're not this. You don't rob people. You don't do any of that. Or that stereotype. And I just thought,
Hold on, sorry, did you say you don't rob people?
Yeah, that's how some girls used to feel.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, back then, you know, I was a little bit overweight. Why are you laughing for?
No, because I'm still getting over. You don't rob people.
You don't rob people.
No, but you know when some people have these stereotypes, and maybe that should be another one that we should do, where people have stereotypes of certain people. Because
basically you weren't a roadman. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I wasn't a roadman.
Just say you weren't a roadman, but you don't rob people. That just sounds so incorrect. Like,
that's why I know.
Like, shit.
Stop it, man. Stop it. Yeah, anyway, so and then do you girls know this store New Look?
Yeah.
The store New Look, yeah.
Okay, so basically I used to work there. This is a long time ago. And as you know, it's a women's store, predominantly women, just women just in that store. So I remember one time there was a group of women just sitting down, it's like loose women, yeah? It was 80% black and the rest were just other, you know, minority of other races. And I remember one girl coming in and she was cussing. And she was cussing, says, oh, why are all black men like this and all I like that? And why don't they do as they say? And they were just cussing anyway. And I'm there in the corner just reading my comic magazine, just not paying any attention. Then one of them says to me, Jeremiah, why are men like this? And at that time, I was very inexperienced with the opposite sex. So I was like, I don't know. And do you know what I mean? And then they start asking me all these questions. And then one of them picked up and was like, he hasn't had any experience with any girls at all. So I tell you what, because you're working with us, we're gonna make you how we would want a man to be.
Okay.
So basically,
they're gonna mold you.
Yeah, so they're gonna mold me. So
are they gonna share you as well?
No, it wasn't like that. No, it wasn't like that. So basically, they were telling me the do's and the don'ts. Like, if you say you're going to call a girl, you've got to call her. You've got to have your trim every 2 weeks. You've got to work out. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. Now, 3 of the girls took, what did they do? 3 of the girls took me on a shopping trip. And then that's where I lost the glass. Because I used to wear glasses, but then I had contacts and then I had laser eye surgery. Then I had a haircut, then I got this. And then when I went to work, when we moved store, I was completely a different person. I didn't look the same at all. And when they came in, they just said, oh, are you a new starter? If you are, you have to go around the corner. I'm like, no, it's me, it's Jeremiah. Oh my gosh, you look so different. You look so different. So it went round as it does. I said, oh my gosh, have you seen Jeremiah? Have you seen his makeover? And then I remember being on the till and one girl left her number, but she left it upstairs. And then the girls that had helped me do the makeover, she just said, you know what, Jeremiah? You see this girl coming downstairs? And I said, yeah. She's going to wave at you. Just wave back. And I waved back. And she just says, you know that girl that you just waved at me? Yeah, she left her phone number for you to call her. No lie to you, Cass. I was so nervous. I ended up throwing the number in the bin because I didn't know how to react. That's how bad it was, where I was so inexperienced with the opposite sex, and it was kind of like being famous. Like no one, when you're overweight or not good looking or whatever, everyone passes you by. But as soon as you level up, and especially being in the West End, all these girls flock to you, and it was just so much. I just didn't know how to handle it. But
wow.
But then, as time goes on, you learn how to handle it, and that's the end of it.
So would you say you've, from that experience, that you now can handle certain situations in terms of like relationships, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
Because now, are you like single? Are you in a relationship, or
Single.
are you in a situationship?
No, single.
You're single?
Yeah.
Okay. And why is that?
I'm just working on myself, Cass. That's it. I'm just working on myself.
Right. That's the best relationship to have, is with yourself. That's interesting.
You know what? You know I hate that question though, innit, Kaz? We've spoken about that. When you say you're single and people are like, why is that?
Yeah,
I know, but I had to ask that.
I know, of course. But we put it out there because it's like something's wrong if you are. Like, something's not right. So why? What's wrong? What happened? Like,
yeah.
Where did you go wrong?
No, but the thing is, I mean, you could still have gone wrong in a relationship anyway. It just means that you're, like basically dealing with whatever it is, that you need to work on yourself a bit more in that area and things like that. And we shouldn't be ashamed to say that, if we've had a relationship with somebody and there were certain things about that person that kind of triggered us and it just took us into a different direction, we should be okay with that. I think it's a problem when you finish from one relationship and you don't learn from it, and then you go into another relationship and you still, you just continuously bring whatever those issues may potentially be into another relationship, and you're just too scared to be by yourself. I think that's where you got a big problem. That's just my opinion, because there are people out there that just don't want to be by themselves, and I think during this pandemic, that's definitely highlighted that.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I think it's brought it definitely to the fore. Some people just
your internet's gone a bit funky.
Is it better?
Yeah, that's better. Just want to say hey to Pam from Antigua. Thank you for joining us. I can see loads of your peeps are here, Janelle. I think they've been looking forward to seeing you on a live for a little while. Just saying. Just saying. Tanisha's on there. Listen, I was with Tanisha. Tanisha, I told you I'm going to make it on the live. I was a bit wavy earlier on today, guys. I'm not even going to lie.
But going back to what I was saying though about never thinking that I would date, I'm going to use the word outside of my culture because I think that sums it up better. Hi.
All right, I'm going to change it to that. So that we don't offend anybody. Yeah, carry on, Janelle.
Yeah, so it was a surprise to me. But what I really, and then a friend of mine actually said to me, this is separate to my experience with an Italian guy, but a friend of mine said to me, there are a number of factors that make a relationship successful, right? Criteria, factors, whatever. And the two, in terms of research, the two most important ones up there that will make things work. One is geography. So how near or far is that person to you? And then the second is culture. How culturally aligned are you? So Jeremiah, back to you were saying about dating a girl who fed you great from the Philippines. In my experience, Filipinos have some kind of cultural affinity with Caribbeans, which is where which is what my culture is. And that's with a Filipino girl I went to school with. But then when I was in Canada, interacting with Filipinos there, even Kaz, their food, their cooking, the way they cook is similar to us.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's the same like the Brazilian. There's so many different cultures. The food is so similar to ours.
Yeah, it is. But that's what my granddad said when I told him when I first started dating. I just said I'm seeing a Filipino girl, and he just said, "Oh, they're very like us. They're very well. The women are very mothering to their men and very loyal to them."
Right. So
But
that's why she was feeding you the grapes.
yeah, but I didn't ask for it. I was just sitting there. I was just sitting there, just minding my own business.
But maybe that was her way of just telling you, me like you, you know.
Yeah, I like but remember I was young back then, so to have that, remember she just popped out of nowhere, just came and just started feeling like what is this? It was just one thing led to another. That's how it is.
Jan says love has color.
No color.
Did she?
Oh, no
Oh,
colour.
no color. Yeah,
No
she
colour,
made an error. Said no color, and it's true. I think to be quite honest, if you meet somebody and you just have that connection, that chemistry with that person, because it's not necessarily going to be about color. I think it's because of what we've been taught, what society's put onto us. Because when you think about it, when you're a baby, you don't even know that you're black. You don't even know that you're white. You don't know anything about no color. It's when you're growing and then you start to go to school or wherever it is, you start to pick up all of these different kind of information along the way, because you could be in infant school and still not even see that how I'm any different. You may try, well, you kind of do see you're different, but you're not really seeing it as being really an issue as such.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. Unless something traumatizing happens for you to then differentiate and say, hold on a second, something's not right here. Do you know what I mean? Because that has happened to some of us, especially as black women and black men growing up, that, certain people are treated very differently in comparison to us. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. So that already is created some form of barrier. As much as we want to say love has no color, but the world doesn't see that, unfortunately.
Yep.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the world sees in color, and we, yes, you can look beyond it, but I think the first thing I'd notice about somebody as an adult, because when you're a child, you don't really, it's once you're socialized in society, the first thing I would notice is, the color of a person's skin, their hair, their eyes. These are things that you use to, and you might even make assumptions about a person based on all of that, right? And that is literally what is called unconscious bias. So you see a person looks a certain way, and your unconscious brain makes these assumptions about them. So, I think that you're right. If you really have a chemistry with somebody, then the color of that person doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant because your love for that person is beyond any barrier or boundary or whatever. But I am going to mention a really interesting point, and this is a conversation that I've had with one of my family members who had dated a white guy, an English white guy, and they dated for a while, and they were things were going okay, and she said that they were both on the same page. They wanted marriage, blah, 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 blah. She said there were a few issues. He was an English guy, so he was very much like, he wasn't what she was used to in terms of how generous or not he was as a man. But apart from that, she said things were going okay. But she said what really... it didn't work out in the long run because of that, but that wasn't the main issue. She said, as a woman who was born and raised in the Caribbean, knowing her history, being with a Caucasian guy, and in particular an English Caucasian guy, even though he was a nice guy, she said she couldn't help but have these kind of pangs and thoughts about, you know, this doesn't feel right to me. There was an internal thing going on with her, because she said, I couldn't help but think, she goes, it was a lovely guy, but I couldn't help but think about slavery, and I couldn't help but think about my experience, and I couldn't help but think about growing up in, you know, and, you know, she's got a great understanding of her history and where she comes from. Hasn't really come from a privileged background where she comes from, but is very aware that the fact that she came from an underprivileged background was directly linked, if you trace it back, obviously, to people of African descent being enslaved. So she said that as much as they got on really well, there was this thing in her that it was like, yeah, it just didn't feel, it just kept reminding her, it just didn't feel right. So I can understand that as well, you know, because we have been through so much as a people at the hands of, you know, Europeans, really. And so when you, I can see it being difficult for some people to separate. Now, having said that, some people know, some people don't know, but I know, Kaz, you do know, but my father is mixed race. So my grandfather is from Trinidad, or was from Trinidad. He's passed away now, but he got a scholarship to study in the UK. Came to Nottingham, studied, and met my grandmother. Very natural, organic, falling in love. They actually got married, and she moved to Trinidad with him. Now, the interesting thing is, the flip of that experience for her was that the culture was so different for her, like going to Trinidad, that she ended up coming back to the UK, you know. So culture, for me, I think it's about culture and cultural affinity and cultural understanding. And yeah, that's what it is for me. But having said that, love kind of transcends all of that.
That is interesting. Because I'm just looking at some of the comments as well, Jeanette, as you were speaking, and oh gosh, I tried to. Samantha says, K_B8791 says, yeah, that's my thing. I think that's when you were talking about when your cousin was talking about how, you know, she was just thinking about slavery whilst dating that person, because I think that's the thing for the majority of us. You know, you can meet this really nice, say, English guy or a European guy and think, wow, he's amazing. But that is still kind of going through your mind. It's going on inside of you. And also, it's not even any fault of your own. It's because of what history has done to us as a people. And even with you sharing about with your dad and his mum, and, you know, with your grandparents, so to speak, your grandmother's experience, she is like, because of the culture difference, she had to come back home because it was like you wasn't even accepted.
No, she wasn't. It's so interesting. Yeah, and as you know the story, and she did come back because, and when she met my grandfather, they were both really young, in their early 20s. He was at Nottingham University. He met her there. As I say, they fell in love, and she ended up going back to Trinidad with him. But you imagine this British white woman, her family totally disowned her. She moved to Trinidad with my grandfather. And you know how it is in the Caribbean. A lot of the time, especially back then, you had family houses, family compounds, maybe a few family homes in one vicinity, or maybe a big family home with lots of different extended family in there. So she was living in the family home with lots of strong, you know, matriarchs, really strong female figures. She's come in as this white woman from the UK. And at the time, I mean, that was that would have been in the early-ish 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Trinidad was going through its own turmoil politically with regards to race and the dynamics of race. I mean, Trinidad literally almost had a revolution. I can't remember what year it was, but they almost had a revolution. So there was a lot of tension there and turmoil. So she's come into that. And yeah, in the end, she came back to the UK.
Wow.
So again, culture is for me, what I've realized in later life is it's about culture. And going back to, you know, like I mentioned to you, the Italian guy who's my friend, but who, you know, I also had a brief kind of fling with, if you like. Culturally, there's an affinity there. I mean, he's from southern Italy. Like I said, I'm not going to say exactly where, but it felt like it wasn't like, I don't know, a Tim from Manchester or from Huddersfield, or do you get what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that. Like, there was, our sense of humor was the same, our values seemed to be the same, like, you know, the kind of easygoingness seemed to be the same. And so yeah, so for me, what I've realized in later life is it's more about feeling an affinity with somebody.
Yeah, because I think, to be quite honest, you do have to, I mean, the love has to be so strong in order for you to conquer all form of obstacles. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if that's not there as a foundation between a man and a woman of different opposing culture, race, etc., if that foundation isn't there, it's not really going to last. It's not going to sustain itself, because you do obviously have those who have got, you know, being brought up in mixed race homes, and they're fine. Do you get what I'm saying? They're absolutely fine. So you do actually hear those stories, but then you do hear some stories where, you know, like similar case to what you were saying in regards to your grandparents, where, you know, that child may not necessarily be accepted from, say, the white, you know, race or the black side of the family. Do you get what I'm saying? Depending on where they've been brought up, if the parent, you know, the mum is black or the dad is white, etc. You know, we have all of those kind of issues going on. But with regards to actually having that open mind and having that understanding, especially what we've seen through history and things like that, could we potentially be blocking ourselves having some form of, like, say, a love with somebody of a, you know, the opposite culture, because of what history's done to us, that is depriving us from actually fulfilling that true happiness?
Yes and no.
Go ahead.
Yes, you want to, yeah, obviously, because it's between you and them. But then because of how culture is and how people are, it just forbids you. It becomes like a Romeo and Juliet. You want to be with the person, but you just can't because of all the obstacles put in its way. You know, I was once with okay, so I'll tell you another story. No.
Does it involve grapes?
No, it doesn't involve grapes. It doesn't involve.
This time it's mango and pineapple.
Okay, no, so so one time I dated, I'm not going to say no names, I dated one girl, she was Asian. And as you know, in the Asian community, it's strict. Do you know what I mean? Very strict. And I always call those women, yeah, I take my hat off to them, but they're 007s. They're MI6 agents. Live one life at home and one life out. Yeah, they are 007. Yeah. Anyway, so to cut the long story short, I was seeing this girl one time, and she looked like the Asian version of Mariah Carey at that time. So very top heavy, slim, loads of hair. Do you know what I mean? Very, very, you know, Bollywood type look. Now where was we? We was in Blackburn. And if I don't know if you know, Blackburn's it's at least 95% Asian, like Asian guys throughout the whole of the town. So I was walking with her. If they could have lynched me and killed me, they would have done it. Because the looks they're giving her, do you know what I mean? The looks they're giving her, just thinking, what is she doing with him? And all that stuff. And it's underlying racism, because they're looking at me, even though they got the baggy trousers, you know, I see some Ragastanis here and there, you hear them playing the songs and all that stuff, But
Because they really adapt to our culture as well. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think that was the first time, that was the first time that I actually ever had racism. But it was weird racism for me. So basically, I was walking in Blackburn, these guys, 2 Asian guys in a BMW, they drove, and he just shouted out, "Go back," the N-word.
Shut up.
But he was playing Biggie and Tupac in his car. And I just couldn't, I just like, what?
No, I'm done. I'm done.
No, I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. I really couldn't understand it at all. You're cussing me, you're calling me a name, you're calling me the word, but you're playing hip hop music in the car. I just didn't.
You see,
get
the irony.
The irony.
That's just crazy.
It is very crazy. It is very crazy.
But you know what? Jumping in the back of what you just said, I remember when I was, because remember I went out, I was dating this Asian guy, and I remember going into one of the Caribbean takeaway shop because we went to get like a patty or something. And I ain't gonna lie, I saw certain man in that shop and the way these men were looking at me, like said I'd done that, like I was out of order. Like the looks that I received from the men in that Caribbean shop, mate, I just felt like I wanted the ground to just open. I felt so like they didn't even say anything. It was just a look, and it was a look that I've never experienced before, and I don't even ever want to experience it again. It was so uncomfortable.
But that's what happened to my sister's friend. My sister's friend said, "I've had enough of black guys. I'm going to go out with someone different." I think she went out with a white guy, and they went to one restaurant. Went to one restaurant. The waitress just happened to sit her where there's a bunch of brothers. And the brothers just kept looking at her, and she just said, "You know what? It was so uncomfortable." Because he wanted to touch me, he wanted to kiss me and all that stuff. And she was like, get off me. Because the brothers were looking and like staring. And the thing is, she fancied the brothers. But because she's with that guy that she's with on a date, she just stuck there. So she just felt very, very uncomfortable. And she just said she just wouldn't do it again. She just wouldn't do it again.
Jan Sweet Brown Sugar says, feeling guilty and you haven't done anything wrong is mad. It's so true, and that's exactly how I felt. So like, oh my god, what have I done? You know, like you just feel it's just the most craziest feeling. And the thing is, it's not like the guy's Asian, but he's like one of them Asian that was kind of like he knows about the culture, similar to what you're saying. I mean, what those Asian guys did was just out of order. Because that to me is just a confusion. How can you be playing Biggie and Tupac and then be screaming out to somebody about the N-word? Like that's just a confusion just there by itself. However, going back to Jan Sweet Brown Sugar statement, I think it's bad when people make you feel guilty because you found love somewhere else or you're exploring somewhere else.
Yeah, but Cass, it's always, no offense, it's always the way. It's always, whether you think it, whether you verbalize it or you think it or you see it, it's always the way. So I'll give you an example. When my sister had her firstborn, and I was holding her, we was in the mall, I think we was in Lakeside. We was in Lakeside. All the black mums, the black couples, they give me the Fight Club nod. Like, okay. Obviously it's my niece, but they're thinking looking after the child, looking after one of his own and all that stuff. Then you see someone with a mixed race and the cut eye that they got, and one of them, I heard them once say, "Look at this N-word, look at this egg." Do you know what I mean? But it's just how it is, unfortunately. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is. It's on the same thing because it's just like I remember I hugged a sister one time. Do you know what I mean? And then I see the old couple all smiling and nodding, but then when they see the brothers with mixes with white, Asian or whatever, it's just like disgust, you know what I mean? But I understand because on the Asian side it's the same thing. And I've got another story. And the reason why on the back of the other one is where I used to say those girls at MI6 who I once dated back in the day, I must have stayed over and her mum and dad did a surprise visit. They just popped up like Casper. Surprise. And
That's
I'm
fun.
like,
But they
oh,
weren't the friendly girls, I take it.
they was gonna. Well, I was actually gonna be Patrick Swayze anyway, coming into it, yeah. So it's a shock. And you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. It's like, how am I going to leave upstairs, downstairs through the door without being seen? Do you know what I mean? It's not nighttime. It's in the day. It's about, yeah. Well, it's in the morning. You know what I had to do?
What did you do?
I had to wear a burqa.
You did what?
I had to wear a burqa.
What is a burqa? Sorry, I need.
Okay, a burqa is where they put the thing.
What, like a turn,
yeah,
like the hijab thing?
Yeah. No. Burqa is when it's full and you just got the eyes. You just got the eyes. You got to wear the gloves. You can't see nothing apart from the eyes.
What? No.
So I had to wear a burqa and I didn't say anything.
Sorry, I can't.
So basically, Jeremiah, it was your burqa or your life.
Yeah, it was the
Tracy,
burqa.
you need to come on.
What's that?
No, Tracy says she's got some stories, so I'm inviting her as well. But carry on, Jeremiah.
No, I had to wear the burqa. I had to wear the burqa to leave. Had to wear the burqa. They just said, "Oh, this is my friend. We were just doing some studying. We studied all night, and she's just going home." You know, they said hello to me. She said, "Oh no, she doesn't. She's very shy." Because I couldn't even do the voice. You know, when those ones, I just couldn't even do the voice.
So what did you go?
I didn't say nothing. I just nodded my head. That was it. I just nodded my head. When your life's on the line, you don't say nothing. You don't.
No, man, I don't believe you're lying, man. You're lying. Are you serious?
Listen. If we go up to heaven and we do a Truman show and he shows you that, you're like, oh, okay.
Are you serious, Jeremiah? That's horrible.
Of course, and that's why.
Did you give the burqa back, Jeremiah, or did you keep it as a souvenir?
What the burqa looked like, man, because I'm trying to visualize this thing.
No, but a burqa is basically, it's all over and it's figureless, so it's just straight. There's no curves, there's no nothing. It's just straight.
Oh shoot!
Did you keep
Oh
it
my gosh,
for the
I
memories?
googled it. Jeez.
Listen,
You
I don't
didn't
need
keep
it
it.
for the memories. It's up here. It's up here for the memories.
Wow.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
That's serious.
Yeah, but the thing is, as you know, once, you know, if like I've got another friend that what they do, as you know, if you make an Asian girl pregnant, you got two choices. You either convert to Islam or they chop you up and they just put you in the sand, because as far as they're concerned, you're violating a woman of their race.
But you see, this is the thing. I think it's so crazy that when you hear this kind of story and people look at black people as if to say, you know, we're the scum of the world kind of thing. And we're the most loving people ever. We accept everybody. You know what I'm saying? Even though you get a few people that will go in a certain way. But overall, we do accept. I mean, when you think about, like, when you go to Jamaica, Jamaica is a place for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's all, well, maybe, can I really use Jamaica as an example? Maybe not. But
no, you
I guess,
because everybody loves going to Jamaica. Everyone.
Yeah, but then in Jamaica, you have so many different ethnic minorities. You have so many different, like, race of people. And, you know, if you meet, say, like a mixed race, or, you know, like someone who's mixed race, they will just say, I'm Jamaican.
Yeah, but my great grandmother.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But my great grandmother was Jamaican Chinese, so it's, you know, it's everything's there.
Yeah,
everyone's there.
But
So
that's the point, though, isn't it, Kazi? What you're saying is they're Jamaican first, and then everything else is secondary. Tracy had to hide in the wardrobe later.
Yeah, that's what Tracy said. She had to hide in. Hi, Maxine. She said she hides in the.
she had to hide in the
Yvonne Witter UK said, Jeremiah, she's glad you lived.
Sorry?
Because she's glad you, basically, she's glad that you got there out there alive, innit? Because if it wasn't for the burqa, what would have happened?
I don't know.
It's so true. Do you know what? If it would, there's so many different ways to look at it, because I'm sure many people, and Jeremiah and Kaz, you know, like Dr. Umar Johnson, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the preservation of the black family, which actually, when you, in isolation, it sounds so like, oh, preservation of the black family. But actually, when you think about it in the context of history and where we are today, and where the black race, I say in inverted commas because there is no race, but that's another conversation. But where the black race is today, all of that, you can understand why he is an advocate of preserving the black family, right? Yeah. And oh, my battery's really low. It will last for a bit, but so yeah, you can understand why. And so when it's for other cultures, you can also see why that they are, because marriage or partnerships historically were to do with economics. It was to bring all together two families to not only contain wealth within those families, but also to build wealth for the next generation by joining those two families. So partnerships were to do with economics, marriage was to do with economics. And so a lot of the time when you have like arranged marriages and stuff like that, that is where the kind of the premise has really come from. And so, you know, I kind of understand why they might look at their woman and, you know, their Muslim daughter and think, we'd rather you would have dated a Muslim guy, right? But then,
yeah, carry on. And I'm gonna.
No, I was just going to add one more point. Is that I know I worked with a previous job I did. A couple of Asian people were my friends. A guy and a girl were my friends. And we were all kind of a clique at work, you know, back in the day. You know, we used to hang out, go out after work for drinks and all of that. And they really fancied each other. But she was Hindu.
Yeah.
He was Muslim.
Yeah, Muslim, yeah.
And guess what? She was down for it. I should also add that she ended up falling pregnant in uni for a black guy, a guy whose parents were from Ghana. Yeah. So her family had disowned her. It's all good now, but she was up for the relationship with the Muslim guy, and as much as they'd gotten so well, he really, really liked her, you know, he said, I can't. It just will not happen.
Yeah, I've had the same thing.
To be with a Hindu girl. Both families from India. So
that's crazy. But I suppose because of the it's like the tribe, isn't it? It's like in terms of like it's a tribe, because even when you think about biblically, you know, when you look at say like Bible, again, you weren't allowed to do the mixing of the tribe.
Yeah.
So it's not even so much as a race. It wasn't even a race thing. It was a tribal thing.
Tribe thing, yeah.
And they, you know, obviously this, I think what's the name of the guy that made this thing? I can't remember his name. Oh, shoes. But anyway, the guy who started off all this racism stuff, I think he's obviously taken that tribal mentality and created a race mentality. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So whereas we're not dealing with a tribe now, we're just looking point blank, raw. You don't look like me. I'm superior to you. You're not superior. You know, it's just done it into a different, it's just gone against the odds. And now we have this whole division where we're not, like you were saying before, it's not even about the race. It's more about your culture, because that's your tribe. You know, that's where you know where you come from. Because even when you think about it, like Nigerians and Ghanaians, they have issues amongst themselves. Certain parts of Africa have issues amongst themselves. It's like even us in, say, the West Indies, we have issues amongst ourselves. So it's all over. And I'm sure it's the same thing in England as well. They have issue amongst themselves, because you've got the travellers, you know, then you've got the Irish and all of that kind of stuff. And it's just all of these, it's just a whole bag of mess. Yeah. But then everyone's trying to put down this black and white thing. It's just crazy.
It's so much. There's so many more layers, complex layers to it than just the color thing. But yeah, I mean, you kind of are attracted to what you know. Even when you go to school, you will probably find that you're drawn to people that you have some kind of affinity with. You know, it just kind of it's. I think Yvonne put in there something about your spirit. Your spirit just knows. It's that connection. It's the spiritual connection. And if something doesn't sit quite right with your spirit, and it could be back to, like I told you, my family member who dated you know, the English guy, and she said, you know, he was great, but there was her being born and raised in the Caribbean and having a certain experience and knowing her history, there was this thing that just didn't fit in her. It was just something niggling within her that didn't fit, you know. And I guess when you're with somebody, you want to hold your head up, you want to be proud, you don't want to feel uncomfortable. That really is that love. If you know, love is to prevail, love can transcend all of that, of course it can. But I guess as humans, we tend to kind of go with what we know, and it depends where you are in the world as well, because we have a different experience here as Black people than, say, like you said, Kaz, for you know, a Black person in a predominantly Black country like Jamaica, for example, or anywhere else, for example. And so our experience here and the kind of experience of what our parents endured still stays in our minds. I mean, where I grew up, like, you know, there were no white people. This is in London. There weren't. It just.
But that's the same thing like with me, because what they do, they put all the Black people together. Do you know what I'm saying? So then you just think, this is it. This is all you're going to know. And then when you start going out to different areas, or you start traveling up north, you can count the Black people, but you think there's so much of you. It isn't. Do you know what I mean? Because it's such a... because we've all been crammed in one place, unless you've been privileged to be able to live outside of those, you know, those kind of like environments, so to speak, like their states, etc. Then that's what you're going to know, and that's what you think that exists, and it doesn't.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, say, for example, had I grown up in, I don't know, like Middle England somewhere in Cheshire, or Scotland, or somewhere out in the suburbs, you know, Sussex, or I don't know, you know, somewhere that is not inner city London, that is in a predominantly kind of African and Caribbean area, then maybe my attraction to whoever, or my connection to a potential partner, would feel different. So maybe, you know, maybe I would have ended up with somebody who's not from my culture, because my whole experience would have been different. But I can only go by what I've experienced, what I've grown around, and what feels feels like comfortable to me.
But then saying that, you will feel comfortable based upon your environment, what you've been exposed to. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas we've been quite, I wouldn't say, yeah, in a way, it's almost like we've been limited to what we've been exposed to. So I suppose if we was traveling around the world, a bit like the young lady that I had on the show on Friday, or guys, if you have not watched our radio drive time, do check us out every single Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. on iLive UK. And we had an amazing guest, and her name is Talia Gray, and she is the founder of Share Chemistry Types. And she is from a Jamaican background, but she was living in Australia. You know, and even with her experience, what she was saying, it was just so challenging for her to be able to get like the hair products, etc., etc. So I suppose if you was to live up north, you'll be still experiencing the same thing. But at the same time, what she was saying is, when she came to the UK, she was experiencing those same problems anyway. Like, it was very limited to the places she can actually buy, say, like hair products and things like that, things that she needed as a Black woman. It was quite challenging.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. So, you know, I don't even know. I mean, what does anybody else have to say? Because I do want to wrap this up, because it's like getting on. Time is getting on.
I know, my dinner and my battery's going to die anyway. I was like 10 minutes, and then I looked at the clock. How do these lives go by so quickly?
But you know, it's the conversation, and when it's a good topic, it just, and then you're sharing stories, and then you obviously people's comments and things like that. But somebody made a comment, I think it's Jan. I lived in an area which I was the only Black child on the road, maybe one other child, but have never dated out of my own race. That's interesting. Okay.
Interesting. Be interesting
But
to see where
again,
she
it would
lives.
be an experience, whatever Jan Jan's experience was. So Jan
Yeah.
Jan, you know, were you the experience within your household very connected to your culture and your roots? But were those white people on your road, were they your friends? Did you play with them, or did you more? Do you know what I mean? Your as much as your environment shapes you, your experience within your environment will also shape you.
Yeah, I did ask Jan Jan to come into the chat, but she declined. But
Yeah,
which
but
is fair enough.
also depends on where she is, isn't it? Where she is in the country, because you can be
Yeah,
in a bunch with white people, but then if you've got blacks around, then it just means that you don't have to. You don't have to mix.
true,
True.
true.
So, like, do you know, if you lived in Cheshire, you'd be very, very different now. Very different.
I'm telling, I know that. I
Yeah.
know that.
Say that again.
No, I said if Janelle lived in Cheshire, she'd be totally different. She'd be totally
Of
different.
course,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
She'll be different
Totally.
completely.
I'd be on
Jan
the
Jan,
real vibes. I'd have bagged myself a footballer.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, Cheshire wise. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Jan Jan Sweet says my Jamaican roots are deep. Had enough white friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that
That's
says
obviously
it.
to do with
Yeah.
the foundation of your
Yeah.
parents, etc. So
Exactly.
that again, if that's been predominantly put in place within the home, then you're not really going to have an issue in terms of your identity of who you are. You know, it's like even Tanisha, I love what Tanisha does with her son. You know, he's like, I'm Jamaican, I'm African, I'm Jamaican, and I'm British. You understand what I'm saying? He's acceptance of who he is, because obviously, you know, we are African first. And this is another thing that I find really challenging, especially within the Caribbean community. And please don't shoot me, people. I'm going to say it as it is. Too many Jamaican people, too many people from the West Indies are denying where they come from, in terms of we come from Africa. And I don't understand why we're trying to deny it so much. It's almost, I understand why, because obviously we had a conversation with Queen Diambi where she talks about, you know, why do they want to be remembered through slavery, etc., etc. But that's a part of your whole makeup. It just goes to show how strong you are as an individual, and to know that you're still standing. You know, we are a survivor of people. Us being there is a miracle.
Definitely.
Oh, my battery's going to die in 30 seconds. Sorry.
It's all right. It's absolutely fine. Well, it's not all right, because I'm going to call you.
I'm going to say bye now. So when I cut out, it won't be like, what happened to Janelle? So I'll be on until it cuts out in 30 seconds. But it's been real, guys.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Coach Carla, maybe she wants to jump on. Coach Carla, what's your thoughts about dating outside of your culture? Because we are going to wrap up because I don't really like to go more than an hour and a half on these conversations. Because
So would you do it again, Cass?
Would I?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no.
Okay.
I'm open. The reason why I'm open is because I think if I'm to date somebody, obviously I'm going to have these level of conversation with that person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because obviously I am dating with the expectation of to potentially get married. I'm not just dating for, you know, I'm too grown for that. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, it's very much of I'm dating with purpose, isn't it? So if I'm dating this guy and he's a different, you know, culture from myself, a different race, I'm having these conversations. If he's not talking on a certain level that I feel that I can vibes with, I can connect and relate to, and I can see a future with this person, no, I'm bouncing.
Okay.
I'm bouncing. What about yourself?
Yeah, I would. But as you just said, it's a conversation that you have to have. And to be honest, if you're dating, you're dating. But if you're not, if you're dating to marry, then there's conversations you have to have. And preferably to marry, I probably wouldn't, if I'm being honest, because there's too many. One person's got one way of thinking, like you just said with the Asian, you've got another way, and I would rather it be in one accord than you're having that unpeace in your house and you have to deal with the world and all that stuff. I think it's too much stress. It's too much stress.
I hear you, but then my thing is, if you say like you meet somebody and your chemistry, the connection is just next levels. You've never had this experience with this another human being whatsoever. You know, there's something just different, and especially as a man, you just know when you know that that person is your wife. Yeah. Are you going to make everything the world has put onto you decline you of having that true love?
It's not so much that, because yeah, it is true, because going on to the story that, you know, when I was in the New Look thing, when I was coming up, and I started to like approach the sisters and all that stuff, and it's not to have no knock on the sisters. The sisters didn't like the nerd look, or someone who I wasn't appealing. Basically, I wasn't appealing. But then when I dated the Filipino young lady, I got a lot of stick for it, which was,
Right.
oh, so you're one of those. You don't date. It was like, and I think I had a discussion with one that says, listen, when I wanted to be with, the sisters, you lot just passed me over. You didn't want to be interested. But now I'm with someone that actually makes me happy, and I'm happy. Now you lot have an issue with it. And obviously you got to do what makes you go happy. But as I just said, it's a conversation that I would have to have.
I can see there's a comment by was it Glass Gel? I'm not even going to try. I can't even. Is that Jelassi? Jelassi. She says, I'm Nigerian and I'm married to an Englishman. It's all about understanding and respect of each other, to be honest. And to be quite honest, I do think it's about that at the same time. I do remember when I was watching a show by, what was it, Belle of Mississippi? So Oprah Winfrey on TV, and it's a bit like a reality. It was a reality show, a bit like a Real Housewife of Atlanta kind of thing. And there was one young girl there, and she was a doctor. I think she was a dentist. Yeah, she was a dentist, and she was building up her own practice, etc. And she was married, but she was married to a Caucasian American guy, and she divorced him based upon one of the reasons was she thought about her children. She thought about the struggles that they were going to actually endure because of them being mixed race. And one of the reasons why she broke up with, divorced her husband at the time, was because of that reason. And some of the women that were on the show were saying, but did she not know that he was white when she got with him? Like, why would you not even think of all of those things? Why would that be a reason for you to divorce this person later on, knowing that if you're gonna have children, they're gonna be mixed race? Why would you not think that you're not gonna have mixed race children? It was just a bit like a strange thing to just divorce somebody under those grounds. But I do believe at the same time, you do have to take those things into consideration, especially when you are with somebody. It's, yes, it's great to have the love with that person, but we've also got to think about those children that are also going to experience certain kind of hate, or not even knowing which side of the fence that they should be staying on, etc. Because that partner might not accept me. This person might not accept me because I'm mixed. Yeah, Jan, it's true. She's Jan just said, why didn't you think about that before? And I think this is a reason why when you're dating, I think you have to date with purpose. You need to ask those questions. You have to look at all types of scenarios. Like sometimes when you're watching a TV program, don't just look at it just being, oh, it's a bit of a drama. Look at the storyline, because you always find there's a lesson. There's something that there's something you can learn from this. Right now, I don't know if you're watching Ready to Love. Are you watching that? Listen, if you're single, you need to watch Ready to Love, because Ready to Love, you can watch it on YouTube. I'm not about the blue therapy business. I just can't really relate to it. I've watched a bit of it and I just can't relate to it. That's just me. I'm keeping it real. But Ready to Love, I think because they're a lot more mature and they're a lot more established, and they put you into different types of scenarios where it's not just about the physical attraction, it's about the chemistry, and you're dating with a purpose, because these men and women that's come on the show, they're looking to get married. But they're going through a process over a duration of time, and they're having conversations, and people would have to be eliminated off the show, etc. So with that, it just gives you a bit more understanding. Like, one of the scenarios that they had last week was the women who they consider the man to be like their number one, the guy that they've really found attractive, potentially could grow with that person, to meet their ex. So they had to meet their ex. Yeah, they had to meet their ex. And from them meeting their ex, it was able for them to see a different kind of, just get a different side of that person.
No.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So whereas there was one guy that was on there, and he was attracted to this woman called Liz, and they were more connected on the spiritual side of things. But what she basically, on this show, you date all different types of people. So you're not really exclusive to one person, because remember, you're ready to love, but you're exploring, you're looking at your options, etc. So people ask you out, you're going to date, you see if you connect with that person. You may not connect, but you know who you kind of like, no, this is the person I connect with. So basically, she went on a date with another young guy, a guy that was a lot younger than herself, and they kissed. So the guy who's kind of like her number one, she shared that with him. So she had to do an exercise where she had to meet him and meet his friends. And they had the conversation amongst the friends. This is something that she shared with him, with the friends, and the friends obviously had judgment towards her. So she shared that with her ex-boyfriend, because she had to bring him alongside to meet the ex-boyfriend. This is on the following week. And you know, the ex-boyfriend brought up in conversation, if you ever saw the way that this guy was proper, just like on a defense mechanism, it was just like red flag, red flag, red flag. Just the way he was just like talking, just the way that he was not allowing her to talk and things like that. And I guess what they were doing is just for you to just understand more about how a person really is, because we do get caught up on the physical appearance rather than looking at how would they deal with these situations, these scenarios. These scenarios have been put in place to test that individual, for you to have an open mind. I'm sure Liz is saying later to David now.
Probably. As I said, I've never seen it, but then again, no,
you need to watch it. People, you need to watch it. Listen, trust me, it's definitely worth watching, especially for singles. Definitely worth to watch, because it just gives you different dynamics, things that you would never thought of, and they just put in the show, and it's just so beautiful. It's just so well done.
What's it called again?
Ready to Love.
Ready to Love. Okay.
Yeah, it's on. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can stream it on those. You know.
Those lives. Yeah.
But definitely check it out on YouTube. All the episodes are there. Yeah, it's really good. Like, it's opened my eyes in different areas. Hi, Adjoa. How are you doing? Hey, Georgina. Yeah, so we're going to wrap up. So, I mean, we've got like 10 minutes left. I've gassed enough. Do you want is there anything else you want to add to it?
As I just said, yeah, just, you know, I think at the end of the day, you just got to do what makes you feel happy, to be honest with you. Because at the end of the day, it's you and that other person. It's no one else. Everyone can have an judgment, but it's between you and that other person. And that's what it is. But I think a lot of us are caught up on to what other people say and how other people feel and so on and so forth. And that's why there's so much hate in the world. Because you want to be like, I don't know if you've ever felt, but as you just said, when you was in a chicken shop, you felt away, and you're just thinking, why are these people making me feel like that? Mate,
I felt away. It was the way I felt. I never felt that way before. I've never experienced anything like that. I'm sure if I went into that Caribbean shop with a black guy, nobody's gonna. It's just be like, Mandarin would just be like, yeah, you're good, you respect, whatever. Even a couple of mans that was in the shop, and I know them, got their numbers in my phone. The way they were screwing me down, it was just like, yo, like they wanted to kill me because I came in the shop with an Indian guy.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I had the same thing when I was in Blackburn. If they could have lynched me, they would have.
Say that again?
If they could have lynched me there at Blackburn,
they would have.
They would have.
Yeah.
Well, predominantly, 95% in Blackburn, if you ever go up there, it's up north near Preston, it's predominantly Asian. Do you know?
Asian, yeah.
Me walking on the high street. Yeah. Now she wasn't Muslim. She was. There's Hindu. Oh, I always get mixed up. There's Hindu. There's Muslim. She was the other one. I forgot.
Was she Sikh?
Yeah, that's it. Sikh. She was Sikh. Yeah, she was Sikh. So they obviously they know who's who and who's not, because obviously
Yeah.
they know. It's just like some of us know who's Jamaican, who's Ghanaian, who's Nigerian. So they know, but the looks and the intents and the tenseness of it, it's like if they could, they would have stoned me like I was in, in the ancient days. Because they're just thinking,
Wow.
how dare you? How dare you? Just like, hey, well, listen, back then it was what, early 2000s. It's just like, we're just dating. But they don't see it like that.
Wow.
They don't see it like that at all.
But you know what? It'd be interesting to find out from like the younger people now how their experience is, because I've seen a lot more mixed, interracial relationships
Yeah,
nowadays.
but Cass is different now. It's different. And I always joke with my brother. I was the original rush hour when I dated an Asian girl, because back then in the 90s, no black guy was with no Asian girl. None. To
But if
get
they
with,
were, it was undercover, like you
yeah, it was,
said.
yeah. It was like,
The Asian girl was like 007. Do you get what I'm
no, no,
saying?
no, 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 no. But there's two types of Asian. You got the Asian Filipinos, and then you got the Asian Indians. The Indians were we used to call each other nicknames, and it was like forbidden fruit. You cannot be with them directly.
No, but there were black guys that were going out with Asian girls. I'm telling you, in the
Yeah, but not
90s,
as
I'm
much. Yeah, no,
telling you.
maybe undercover, but not as much as it is now.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. It was a lot of it was undercover.
Yeah. A lot of it was
A lot of it was undercover. And a lot of those women, obviously, who have children through, say, like the black guy,
yeah.
they get disowned
Yeah, they get
immediately.
disowned. Yeah, you ever watch?
And it's so sad to see that, because it's just. Coach Carlos says the younger generation will date whoever they feel like and love. They don't see color.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
When I see them, they're not rampant. They're just doing them.
Yeah, but as I said, it's different. Back when it was, it's just like you couldn't be who you wanted to be, if that makes sense. The thing is, an Asian girl couldn't say, "Oh, I'm bringing back a black guy." She get murdered, and he would as well. But now it's more open. It's more open, and they're warming to it. They're okay with it. But then, go on.
But then that's interesting, based upon what you just said, that you wouldn't potentially go outside your race in this day and age.
Oh no, okay. I would, but I'm just saying, as I just said, it depends on the person. And when I say depends on the person, if it's very much like, and you've been in that situation where the guy it has to be this way, it has to be that way, we'll deal with it when it happens. For me, that's not really, I need to know where we're going. I don't want to be put on the spot, because let's say you had a baby and then he says he has to be Muslim. Now you're in the madness. And the thing is, you don't want to be, you didn't have 9 months to push out a kid and to be in some kind of madness. It's like, no.
Yeah.
So it's these things that you want to know before you say I do or I don't.
Yeah. But then I suppose then sometimes, I guess, like where love can be so blind.
Yeah.
And, even though you do have that conversation, like when I had that conversation with that Asian guy, I could have potentially just jumped on board with what he said, like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. It doesn't really matter. It will be just down to the child if they want to be Christian or if they want to be Muslim. But if I wouldn't even say, I suppose, naive. If I was that kind of way inclined, I could have just said, all right, then cool. You understand what I'm saying? And still stayed with that person. And then later on find out that I'm going to have to convert.
You ever watch Bargy on the Beach?
Who?
You ever watch an old film called Bargy on the Beach?
No. What's that about?
It's basically it's a Bollywood movie where this Asian girl gets married. Falls pregnant to a black guy, and then all the family kind of like disowns her when they find out, kind of like thing. It's like a comedy. It's like a British comedy, but it's just like, it was big then, and they were saying the forbidden fruit, you're not supposed to, your aunties and all that stuff is gonna, and that was happening back then. So
wow. And when was that film being made? What time? Like,
that was like late 90s. That was. It's like an old. Right. It was like an old. Sometimes it'll come on Channel 4 or whatever, but it was that kind of love. Now, if you're going on the Asian, like, in order to be with them and stuff like that, the only thing I found in common is cricket. You got the West Indies, and then you got the Asian. And I think with that, you can build bridges because there's common ground, with the cricket. But other than that, it's just, it can be one of those ones where, at the end of the day, you can love them all you want, but unfortunately, because of the religion or because of the culture, and all of it, if you're, especially with your Muslim girl, if you don't convert, then it's a no-go area, and then there's relationships just break up because of that.
Wow. I might have to check that out. Not today, but when I've got some time. I think
Yeah,
I'm
you've
gonna
got
check
some time to
that
check
out.
it, yeah. Yeah,
Is it like a series or is it a movie?
no, it's a movie. Just do the trailer on YouTube. Just put Bargy on the
All
beach
right,
and
cool.
just watch the trailer.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna wrap up because this time is like almost
Yep.
10:30, and yeah, we don't really go more than an hour and a half on there. But I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for tuning in onto Now Chat Show. Dating outside of your culture. That is today's topic. It would be great to hear from you guys. I mean, I could see some of you have actually made some comments. Coach Carla says she's never dated outside of her race. I did actually send you a request, Coach Carla, for you to come on there as well. I think Coach Carla said, yeah, the younger generation, they date whoever they like and they love, and they don't see color, etc. But like I said before, the generation today is so different. They're just so radical. Like, it's beautiful to see at the same time, but my concern is that, do I really want to say this on a live? Yeah, I think I'm going to keep that. But if you're not following Now Chat Show, please do follow us, because we have different topics each week. We also have a radio drive time show every Friday on iLive UK, and that's 4 to 7 p.m. We also have inspiring guests on that platform, great music, and of course some competitions. And we also allow you guys to get involved in a conversation, just like this Instagram live. If you want to be requesting, of course you can request yourself in. And you can also phone in as well. So do follow us on all our social media platforms, follow our YouTube channel as well, and also share, because sharing is caring. And I'm your girl Kazmak, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, if you can just tell our viewers a bit about yourself, so that they can also look into your clothing line and your book, etc.
Yeah, just follow From the Heart _JC. I'm doing a bit more poetry, doing a bit more clothes, and I'm just working on some things in the background. I'll be bringing them out soon.
Brilliant. So guys, do follow Jeremiah as well, so you can be updated in regards to what he's doing. So it'd be great to hear from you guys, and also if you can just make sure you share this live. God willing, this live goes up, because last week one with Adjua and Maxine unfortunately went down, and they told me it was due to copyrights, and I'm just like, they're lying, man. Anyway, it is what it is. I've got past that. So this live, God willing, will go up, because I'm going to put up straight away. So guys, peace out, and I hopefully will connect with you on Friday. If not, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Peace.
Take care.
All right.